People have the same ideas all the time. There's coincidences. Of course. But this is just really bizarre to me. And as much as I like John Krasinski as an actor, loved him in The Office, loved Jim, he was great. And a lot of other things that he's appeared in since then. I think he's a very talented man. And certainly for his horror films, A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place Part 2, right? Those are great. This film itself, If, it just comes across as a blatant ripoff of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. So much so that I would not be shocked if Craig McCracken takes legal action or at least makes a statement about this movie for stealing his ideas and the premise of his TV show, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. We're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to my review for John Krasinski's If, also known as AKA John Krasinski's Home for Imaginary Friends. So I've been a big fan of John Krasinski, just as an actor, obviously, and his previous two directorial efforts, A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place Part 2. I know that he did other movies before then. I'd seen some of them. I saw one in particular, and I thought it was, whatever, it was fine. But what he's done for the horror genre, over the last couple of years, I think it's been great. As you guys know, I am a sucker for a really good creature feature. I love sci-fi horror. I love a nice survival story, right? Humans versus some sort of extraterrestrial monsters. Just something about that just gets me going, Chad. It gets me excited. And him and his collaborators and everyone involved in those movies, I think, did such a great job with those first two films. We have the third film on the way, that prequel sequel, which I know is not being directed by him. Actually, they have a very talented director on that movie. But I can't wait for day one. Super excited. And, of course, I am very excited for the proper third and most likely conclusion of this Quiet Place trilogy. But, that movie was great. Not only was it just a really tense, thrilling creature feature, but it had excellent world building. It was just a really good survival story. I love the themes. I love the characters in it. The acting was quite good. The sound design was impeccable. It's like it really showed his skills off as a filmmaker, right? And also just like, wow, he contributed so much to the horror genre, which is funny because he's not even like a big like horror guy. He didn't really grow up with horror, but he nailed it. Interesting, kind of fresh approach in a way. And of course, listen, he doesn't. I totally understand that he just doesn't want to be known as just a horror filmmaker, even though there's obviously nothing wrong with that. But, he wants to stretch himself. He wants to do different genres, and I think that's totally cool. But the movie that he made was If. And the whole, premise being focusing on imaginary friends, which we've seen. We've seen this explored in multiple different genres, sometimes funny, sometimes serious, sometimes horrifying, and sometimes for, families, even this year, alone. And, we saw the trailers not too long ago, several months ago, and to be perfectly honest, I thought they were wretched. I thought they looked terrible. Just something about them were just so great. To me, it was the humor. It was like so much of the humor and the humor that was coming from the imaginary friends. I wasn't vibing with it at all. It didn't work for me. But again, humor is very subjective, and what I may not like, you may love. And so it's like fair. But I just really wasn't feeling the marketing for this movie. But there was just things about it that started like standing out to me. And I wasn't the only one that was noticing this. You guys weren't the only ones that were noticing this. A lot of people were noticing this as well. So like this feels very similar to a show many of us millennials and also Gen Zers grew up on. And chat, let me know. So let me know if this premise sounds familiar. Set in a universe in which childhood imaginary friends become physical and real as soon as children imagine them. These ifs, if you will, are relocated to a home and a caregiving facility where they stay until other children adopt them. The home is run by a caretaker, and you have a child who can see all these imaginary friends and often interacts with them, including an imaginary friend named Blue. What does that sound like, chat? Many of you would say, oh, well, that's obviously the premise of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, where you had best friends Mac and Blue, you had Wilt and Eduardo and Frankie Foster, who everyone still lusts over to this day. Remember that episode, chat? And Mac was like, oh my God, Frankie, you're like the most beautiful woman ever. And apparently all the kids that were watching said, yes, yeah, you absolutely are. And they started doing a lot of Rule 34 fan art, and I've seen it, chat. Anyway, we'll put a pin in that. We'll come back to that at some point. That's a conversation for another day.
Hey, Frankie. Did I mention how awesome you look in that dress?
Well, that is the premise and story for Foster's, but it's also the same exact premise and story for John Krasinski's John Krasinski's Home for Imaginary Friends. They even have, in his movie, they even have an imaginary friend named Blue, who is voiced by Steve Carell and is incredibly annoying. Listen, people have the same ideas all the time. There's coincidences, of course. But this is just really bizarre to me. And as much as I like John Krasinski as an actor, loved him in The Office, loved Jim, he was great, and a lot of other things that he's appeared in since then. I think he's a very talented man. And certainly for his horror films, A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place Part 2, right? Those are great. This film itself, If, it just comes across as a blatant ripoff of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. So much so that I would not be shocked if Craig McCracken takes legal action or at least makes a statement about this movie for stealing his ideas and the premise of his TV show Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Like I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It's like, and they think that they're just getting away with it. Okay, all right, okay, fuck me, sure, I guess. All right, now listen, it's a ripoff through and through. I think this movie is a ripoff. But what made this particular movie, this particular ripoff, quite a miserable experience for me was the fact that it's just overstuffed with too much going on and is very, very unfunny. You have like 3 different storylines battling for screen time in this film, and none of them feel fleshed out. You have like what I guess is the main storyline of the movie, where our 2 main lead characters, played by Kaylee Fleming and Ryan Reynolds, they're just trying to relocate all these ifs, all these imaginary friends to like, you know, different kids, right? Because these kids have grown up, kids have stopped believing, so, you know, we got to find different places for all these ifs, if you will. You have then one main if, Steve Carell's Blue, and all of his fucking bullshit that we have to deal with. And then you have the last third, which is the dramatic family element that deals with Fleming's character and her grandmother, played by Fiona Shaw, and also her father. And, you know, all of these stories throughout the movie just crash into each other, and we're constantly going in and out of them in not a natural way at all. It doesn't feel that way. It so much so that how the movie kind of flows, it was just giving me whiplash. And the editing of these sequences did not flow well, and it makes me believe just there's a lot of this film that's on the cutting room floor. I think this movie is not 2 hours, but this feels like probably feels like it could have been like a 2.5 hour film, because there's just stuff that's obviously missing in this movie. However, I could say this. I think Kaylee Fleming is one of the very good things, it's probably the only good thing about this movie. And despite its haphazard screenplay and the tonal whiplash, she delivers by far the best performance throughout the film, and she actually even elevates the material on several occasions, despite it not being very good. And like, she's able to deliver the emotion within this film. Now, Ryan Reynolds, you know, who is, I would argue, is the film's co-lead, is just miscast in this movie. This role is the first in a long time where I'm like, oh, Ryan Reynolds should not have been cast as this character. listen, I don't want Ryan Reynolds to be Deadpool in everything, right? I don't think any of us want that. I love him as Deadpool. He's great, but he is definitely kind of settled into just doing that in a lot of movies that I've seen. Maybe I haven't seen his entire filmography, in recent years. There's some movies that I've certainly skipped, but a lot of what I have seen him in outside of Deadpool has just felt like more Deadpool. But his character of Cal in the movie, he just feels like an old, tired, exasperated man. And I think this character would have been perfect for someone like a Jonathan Banks, who played Mike Earntrout in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul and El Camino. It's like he would have done a great job as that character. It just makes sense in terms of how curmudgeonly Ryan Reynolds is and how exasperated he is and how tired he is of everything and dealing with all these people. It's just like this role needs to be played by an older actor, or if they were still alive. An Ed Asner, if you will, or an Alan Arkin would have also been perfect for this type of character. But Jonathan Banks is right there. Give this role to him.
How about you? You want one?
But it's, even though it's obviously meant to be an older person playing this role, it just feels like, well, we need a big star. We need a movie star for this, so, they didn't go for someone who would have probably been just better suited for this character. And the voice cast is huge. You have people like Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Louis Gossett Jr., which I believe this might be his last performance, his last role. And yes, Awkwafina is doing a voice in this too. Like, listen, Awkwafina has been doing the same goddamn thing, it feels like, for so many years, especially in these animated movies, and she's just playing herself, like, through and through. I'm sorry, but I'm just coming off of Kung Fu Panda 4 early this year, where she was just doing her same shtick. And there's no nuance to it. It just feels like, well, it just feels like these actors like, well, who's really popular right now? What are all the look at all the voice actors and all these big kids animated movies, and the one that they see probably consistently is Awkwafina. I was like, put Awkwafina in there. Kids fucking love Awkwafina. And listen, I do think Awkwafina has talent. I think one of her best movies is the one where she's not really playing herself at all, and that's in The Farewell from 2019, which I recommend people checking out. And I want to do more work like that, because, she can be, comedic certainly, but she can handle dramatic material. But here it's just her doing the same fucking thing, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of listening to it in Kung Fu Panda 4. I'm tired of listening to it in The Little Mermaid, and Scuttlebutt, no goddamn thank you. All right, and here's just like, of course, we have a huge cast of voice actors. Let's put Awkwafina in it. And it's just like, stop it, please. But you have others as well, and I won't name them all since they're meant to be a bit of a surprise. I feel like I think they've all gotten their character posters or whatever, but you might not have seen that marketing. So if you are interested in this movie, be surprised when it's like, wait, who's that voice? And you learn it's like, oh, it's that person, it's that guy, it's that lady. It's like that. There's some fun in that to be had, no doubt. But one of the main voices, the one imaginary friend you kind of follow the most throughout the movie is Steve Carell as Blue. And I'm sorry, but I hate this fucking character. If I were to make a list of the most annoying characters so far this year, Blue would be in my top 5 at the moment, no doubt. He's kind of fighting for that top spot as well. So many of the gags and the comedic sequences and the lines he's given either fall flat or are just annoying. And when they attempt to have these sad moments with the character, I feel like they were just completely unearned, and it just made me despise him even more. Just made me despise him even more, to the point where it's like, like, oh, well, even though he was fucking annoying, see, this is his backstory. I was like, I don't give a shit. He's a horrible friend. He's a horrible friend. He's just there to be annoying. But despite all that, even though I do think this movie is outside of Fleming, who I feel like does the best job for what she's given to work with, and in some cases actually elevates this very thin material. So much of this movie I found to be disappointing. But despite all that, there were people in my audience who were loving this movie. and even started crying while watching. I heard sniffles. I heard some snotty sniffles, chat, right? And I don't know. I guess I'm just dead inside. I'm just dead inside because I felt nothing but resentment to most of these characters, to these ifs, to these imaginary friends. I'm just like, good. I'm glad you're miserable. I'm glad you're alone because you deserve it. And I think that's the biggest failure for me. It tries to be this emotional family film for children and adults, but I thought it just has way too much going on, has constant tonal whiplash, and it's just not funny. On top of just being I think, an obvious and blatant ripoff of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. And it has a twist in this movie that I honestly saw coming a mile away. And it steals from another very big movie. I'm just like, is this what you're doing? Is this what I think you're doing? It's like, yep, you did exactly that. And that also bothered me because I also felt that was under. It was just so obvious. It was just like, of course. Okay, sure. All right, let's wrap this shit up. Let's go. And I want to talk about that moment. I actually want to talk about that moment, but I feel like there's a lot of you that are probably going to see this movie who are interested in it, and some of you who probably even liked it. I'm sure. And so that's why I kind of want to hold off on like saying what the spoiler is, the big twist of the movie is, but I don't know. The thing is, I just feel like it's so goddamn obvious, but in any case, I won't get into it. I'm sure apparently other YouTube critics who disliked the movie, they just said, you know what, this is what happens. I'm not going to be that guy. But what about you guys? What did you think of John Krasinski's Home for Imaginary Friends? Let me know.
5 minutes later.
What about you, chap? What did you think of John Krasinski's Home for Imaginary Friends, a.k.a. If? Oh, Lord, let's see what you guys are saying. You're my boy, Blue. What? Yeah, there's a big twist in the movie. Well, it's, I think it's pretty obvious, but it caught some people off guard. I had a lot of people in my theater last night who really enjoyed the movie. Yeah, a lot of people are enjoying this movie. The people in my audience were enjoying it. Dead inside? No, of course not. Stop crying. Stop crying. Do not waste your tears on this film. Chris has no soul. No, they were adults. They were like moms and shit. Oh, man. Maybe they were pregnant, so they're super emotional. Yeah, because there's like, you hear about those like pregnant moms that like cry like during like commercials and stuff, for like allergy medication. What's wrong with me? I'm pregnant. Like, all right, that's fair. So maybe they were all knocked up. People cry in the theater and Chris is being a grin straight up. I was like, I don't see what's so fucking sad. I don't give a shit. Fuck them. No, these goddamn imaginary friends, you know what? They should get off their asses and get jobs. That's what they should do. Get some goddamn jobs. Work the gig economy. You could DoorDash. You have fucking wings. You could do anything. Just do it. Oh, Lord. I haven't read any spoilers at all. I think I figured out what the twist. As soon as I probably already gave it away because I said it's a twist. I think I've already given it away, but yeah, you can guess. All right, no movie sucks except Deadpool. No, he has some good movies. He does. He has some movies I actually really like. Buried, I think, is great. I think Buried is very good. I really like the voices. It's a very odd movie. It might not be for everyone, but I like that film. There's some other ones that I like. I mean, I like Van Wilder. I like the original Van Wilder. That's a fun movie. I have to go through his entire filmography and see what of his. He's definitely made a lot of bad movies. You're not wrong. You're not wrong about that. Probably more bad than good, to be honest. But he has made some good ones outside of his Deadpools. Fair enough. Spoils on Monday. Let's see here. If ifs and buts were candies and nuts, well, have a Merry Christmas. I suppose so. Rather watch Foster. I'd rather watch Foster too. Guess I started bootleg. Yeah, bootleg it. Yeah, you'll find it. You can bootleg it easy. I probably should have checked. Beforehand, but I keep forgetting. Katrina Hot Hands. So you were too dead inside to enjoy the movie? Yes. Yes, I was. I was like, I felt nothing. Because the movie made me feel that way. It made me feel dead inside. Oh, God. There you go. What Chris did to the people crying in the theater. What did I do? Slapping the hell out of them? Yeah, slap. Seen that before. Nah, I didn't. I didn't scoff. I was quiet. I wasn't doing that. I'm like, I'm not gonna listen. If people are enjoying the film, if you enjoyed the movie, then hey, all the power to you. I'm glad you had fun. Clearly, a lot of people are enjoying it. This is a very divisive movie right now. I think this is the most divisive film so far this year because there's obviously a lot of people that dig it, and there's a lot of people that don't. Maybe they were preggo. Yeah, maybe they're pregnant. I don't know. With how hard they're pushing it, I feel like they're scared it's gonna. Yeah, I'm curious. How much money did this cost? I have the Wikipedia open. 100 million, 110 million. Huh? Yeah, I'm very curious to see how this is gonna do. That's a lot of money for this movie. That's a lot of fucking money. I don't know. I guess it made 5 million in preview screenings, so yeah, we'll see. 5 million just worldwide now. Man, I don't know. It's got some stiff competition. I mean, it's got a lot of competition out at this moment. Yeah, we'll see. You're like a real life Ebenezer Scrooge. Chris, women, they're hormones, am I right? Yes, wow. What do you mean, wow? That's the only thing I can think of. Oh, Christ. Yeah, Adventureland. Yeah. Those prego chicks, Chris paraphrase. Oh, Christ. Well, the reviews I've seen, even the reviews that lean from positive, Krasinski is still capable of being a great director, and even despite the premise, something we've seen before. Yeah. There's a sweet story in there. Maybe Krasinski needs someone to help him tighten the script. Or focus on just one of these things instead of like these three things that don't feel like they have enough depth.
A few moments later.
So I'm gonna reveal the spoiler for If. I'm gonna reveal the big twist of the movie. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do. All right. So just making you guys all aware. So at this time, if you don't want to hear it, get off right now. Get off right now, and then you can come back once I do my. I mean, I'll do X-Men spoilers after that, so it's more spoilers, but it won't be for If anymore. So that's what I'm gonna do. Okay. So. The big spoiler for If chat is Ryan Reynolds is an If. He's an imaginary friend as well in the movie. Matter of fact, not only is he an imaginary friend, chat, but he is the imaginary friend of B, of our main character played by Kaylee Fleming, and oh my God, I can't believe you. I was literally saying, what did I just say? I literally just said I was going to spoil this. I said, like, so please leave in the next, for the couple of minutes. God damn it. And so they literally take it's the Sixth Sense. It's the Sixth Sense twist. That's what it is. And if I gave a fucking warning, like multiple times, and it's a total Sixth Sense twist. And so you're thinking, like, what do you mean? There's any time that Ryan Reynolds, because only certain people can see Ifs, right? And so anytime Ryan Reynolds is in a scene with, like, other characters, like, for example, they're on a bus at one point, and you have Ryan Reynolds and you have Kaylee Fleming's character, and they're sitting next to each other. But then you have two people on either side who have like earbuds or headphones on, so you can't fuck it. So it's like, oh, they can't hear what she's saying, even though he's not there. Because for example, and I noticed that a lot. I noticed that you have like a lot of characters that like had their ears covered and shit, or are looking away, and it's just like, oh, so that's because, because if they didn't, then they'd be like, what the fuck? Who the hell is this girl talking to? And she goes, they did stuff like that. And then the other thing is when other characters in the scene with them, then you have it where it's anytime they're talking, it looks as if they're talking to Ryan Reynolds. They're actually not. They're addressing Fleming's character, and it's just like, yeah, it's a Sixth Sense again. And I was like, you're gonna pull a Sixth Sense on here. I know what you're doing, and that's inevitably what happened. Yeah, they tried to swerve you. Oh, Lord, goddamn it. Yeah, I was like, they can get me. Some people went, oh, I was like, I would have, it's the fucking Sixth Sense. What do you mean? Oh. Oh, did Dan Murrell talk about that? How do you say his name again? Dan Murrell or Merle? Murrell or Merle? I can't remember. What a twist. But there you go. Multiple lawsuits in front. So I'm just like, he just ripped off like a whole bunch of other movies. Or he ripped off the Sixth Sense. So this movie, what this basically is it's mostly Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, but it rips off the ending of the Sixth Sense. That's what it rips off. So yeah, I wasn't like, okay. What happened, it was like, yep. And don't worry, even though it's as if, you know, because at another point in the movie, you know, because she realizes that Cal was her if and everything, and it had to do with another tragic event that happened to her before the events of the film. And then as she starts to remember, because at one point she lost the ability to see all the ifs, but then she eventually sees all the ifs, and she sees Cal and Blue and all the other fucker ones, you know, all of them. And, you know, and the ifs eventually reunite with their children, who are now like older. And then there's the whole other thing with her dad. But yeah, pretty much the movie. There you go. I figured the Sixth Sense out when I first saw it, so I've seen a mile. Yeah, no, you'll pick up on it really quickly. You'll just notice certain things. Like, no one's addressing Ryan Reynolds. It seems as if they are, but then, like, it's like, oh, wait, they're not. And, like, anytime they're, like, in a public place, it's like, there's a lot of people that are just kind of have their ears covered or just looking away and stuff. So it's like, yeah, kind of pick that up. So, Dat Chicken Wing, good to have you here. Hope you're doing well, good sir. Yes. Welcome. We'll go to the fine people. Them damn muties. How can you spoil us like this? I gave ample warning. I gave thick, ample warning, okay? I literally said, all right, now we're done. Now we're done talking about Sports for If. It's done. It's over. Now I'm gonna spoil X-Men 97 instead. Ruined. What do you mean? I literally said I gave you thick, like, you know, 3C thick ample warning. Oh Christ! But there you go.